Peace and blessings. Come on in, come on in. Thank y'all for your patience. My day has started out a little rough today. Couldn't get it together. And yeah, but I'm here now and thank y'all for coming in. And if you're coming in on the replay, please don't hesitate to hit that like button. Also, if you wouldn't be so kind, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so and turn all your notifications on to all. Appreciate you. Hope everybody's having a great day. Um, we're going to actually go down the timeline and talk about the ICE and the immigration issue with the migrants, right? I'm going to be showing some video clips that is going to best describe, and I'm going to put it in a timeline fashion as I normally do, being super intentional today. So, for those that may or may not be aware, ICE stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It's actually a federal agency under the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, also known as DHS, right? It's responsible, the program and the organization, ICE, is responsible for enforcing immigration laws. They investigate criminal activities related to border control, trade, immigration, and they also solidify and focus on public safety by putting their eye on individuals or organizations that pose threats to national security, right? So I just wanted to give some context because this is going to be the bread and potatoes of the live stream as far as how they've been implemented, how they've been activated, and how the efficiency of the program is anticipated by the administration and the people that elected and appointed the administration, the current administration, into office, we have as expectations, right? So, again, peace and blessings to the chat. Hey, Bolo, peace and blessings to you, babes. I appreciate you sliding through. And we're going to get right off into it, right? So, as of 2.5 months ago, this is what it looked like in the States, in Austin, Texas, to be more specific. So this is in the street of Austin, Texas. I just want to give clarification. And it's a very short clip, but I just wanted to preface and, like I said, establish a timeline. This is Austin, Texas. This is not another country. So this is what open borders has yielded over a period of time. These people have come into this country. We have not only, as a country, in the past 4 years, have opened up the borders unmonitored, different ports of entry, no enforcement. We have also given them and provided them with resources and the ability to actually plant their feet and establish a lifestyle and a new life in this country. And I don't know of any other country in the world that is able, where we are able, I will speak for us as Americans, can go into any other country and just do what we want and be taken care of while we're there, break laws, not be punished, not have any consequences, not be deported, not be incarcerated, imprisoned, or worse. And yet, and still, in the great state of Texas, we have horses, we have flags from other countries, we have the culture and the singing and the camaraderie and the boldness of people stating basically, guess what? We're here, we're not going anywhere, and this is that, right? Let's go to the next video.
Enforcement confirms that more than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been caught at the border and then released into the United States. The letter here tells the tale. Hello, I'm John Roberts in Washington. You believe this, Sandra?
Which means they are here, and this is just an unbelievable development. I'm Sandra Smith in New York. Good to be with you, John. This is America Reports. Let's get right to Bill Melugin. He's got this news for us. He's live out of Douglas, Arizona right now, where Vice President Kamala Harris is set to visit later this afternoon. Bill, the details of this news, what do you have?
Yeah, and Sandra, bear with me. We just got these numbers moments ago, but it's a jaw dropper to say the least. So to set the stage here, let me just explain what these numbers mean. ICE has something called a non-detained docket. Essentially what that is it means migrants who were encountered by DHS but are no longer in federal custody. So who's on this non-detained docket? It's illegal immigrants who were caught and released at the border, released with the court date years away. They're in immigration proceedings, combined with illegal immigrants who have already been ordered deported from the country by a judge but are still here roaming the country. So keep that in mind, this non-detained docket. According to a letter that the acting director of ICE just sent to Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez, on ICE's non-detained docket, they're currently tracking 425,000 non-citizens who have been convicted of a crime. Of that number, over 13,000 non-citizens have convictions for homicide and are on the non-detained docket, meaning they're roaming the country right now. On top of that, there are another 15,811 non-citizens convicted of sexual assault who are roaming the country right now on ICE's non-detained docket. It doesn't stop there. Those are convictions. The ICE director also says there are currently just under 1,900 non-citizens on the non-detained docket who have pending homicide charges who are roaming the country, and another 4,250 non-citizens who have pending sexual assault charges who are roaming the country on the non-detained docket. So people's eyes might be glazing over right now with all the numbers we just threw at you. Just to put it in a nutshell right here, what we've learned from the acting ICE director via this letter to Congressman Tony Gonzalez is right now there are over 13,000 illegal aliens convicted of homicide who are roaming the United States right now. There are another 15,811 illegal aliens roaming the country right now who have been convicted of sexual assault, and there are even more who are facing charges for homicide and charges for sexual assault. So
those numbers are astounding. You're talking about 13,000, and these are people that are convicted, okay? So we're talking about people that have gone through the due process. They've gone through the judicial courts and have been found guilty, okay, and have been convicted. And we've got over 13,000, or this was back again in November. So again, I'm establishing a timeline, and it's going to lead up into the current the past few days to the current time that we're in, and the developments as to why there is such an assertion and there is such an aggression of these organizations of ICE and all of the neighboring organizations that they have paired with in order to definitely get some of these, if not most, and the ultimate goal would be all, but we already know if you're undocumented and you're illegal, chances are that's not going to be fully successful 100%. However, there is an aggression to get these people deported and returned back to their native land, or at least get them the hell up out of the United States. So again, 13,000, that's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. We're talking about nationwide. We already have an issue and a problem with human trafficking, with sexual assault, with people being unalived, coming up missing. People are losing their children to the hands of a lot of these illegal migrants. We don't have a problem nor an issue with you being here as a legal migrant, going through the proper channels to come into this country and be an American, whether it's naturalized or otherwise, citizen of this country, but to be a productive member of society where you share the same responsibilities and lifestyles that the American citizens are privy to. Okay? Why is it that we have that will for always be bewildering to me and astounding to me, and it rings all kinds of red flags as to why we would have an appointed president and his administration get into office, override all of the executive orders that were put in place to enforce and to stamp the laws that were currently in place when it came to immigration. You just overrode all of those, and then you open the borders, and then you want to argue, fight, and go to court and just go toe to toe with governors in certain states that are sanctuary states, and you want to argue them down as to why they are not, or why they want to enforce the rules and basically make sure that the borders are regulated, they following the letter to the law, and people are going through the due process to come into this country the right way, the absolute right way. So this is absolutely astounding that we, as one of the strongest, if not the strongest country, I don't know about anymore, but I know for many, many, many years, we have been considered the superpower of the world. How is it that when you have all of these other countries and all of these other governments looking at how we do business, this is what we have to display and show them, right?
This goes to show, guys, the non-detained docket has exploded under the Biden administration to over, I believe it's 7.3 million. They're anticipating it could hit 8 million by the end of the year. But looking at the numbers on this letter right here, there are currently over 600,000 non-citizens on ICE's non-detained docket who are either convicted, 600,000 non-citizens on this non-detained docket who are roaming the country right now. Of that, 425,000 have already been convicted of crimes. 222,000 are pending crimes. And again, the most serious crimes we just told you about.
And we have been supporting these people. Not us directly, but our taxpayers' monies through resources that our citizens, particularly we're looking at our veterans, we're looking at our children. The educational system has been prioritized for a lot of these immigration, these immigrant children, the families getting cash stipends, getting SNAP benefits, getting housing when rent has over doubled in the past 5 or 6 years in the United States, but the pay wages have not gone up. These are things that are just does not make sense. They don't seem logical in any sense of the world. Absolutely. They had more resources than the actual citizens at the behest and at the hands of the actual citizens. They have been taking from us They have been supported more than us. And yet and still, as of right now, we have a media agenda from the liberal side, in my personal opinion, that is sounding the alarm, trying to basically push the narrative that this is abuse, that this is mistreatment, that this is unfair, that these are constitutional violations. When, if you ask me, the citizens of this country's rights have been absolutely stampeded upon this entire past administration. And I just want to say shout out to the current administration for not waiting on this, for addressing this head on, for utilizing the departments that are absolutely designated for events and situations such as this, and they're actually doing their job. Okay, so it definitely puts some type of reinforcement on our citizens and the environment that our families, our children, our jobs, our financial situations, our food sources, water sources, air sources, housing sources, all of these different things should be prioritized to the citizens of this country first and foremost, period, right? So shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. We got the beautiful, look at you peeking through the bushes. We got the beautiful Phoenix in the building. And of course, Miss Ellie, we got Bolo, and those in the bushes. I appreciate your presence. Let's go on to the next clip.
Lawmakers are both celebrating and criticizing the way President Trump's mass deportation plan is playing out. Hundreds of arrests have already been made, and the president has brought in new federal resources to help. Here's national correspondent Christine Frizzell with the details.
It's an episode playing out on repeat in cities across America. This man arrested just outside of Boston. Fox News capturing these arrests also in Boston, which they say include MS-13 gang members and rape and murder suspects.
Jails and mental institutions from other countries and gang members right off the streets of the toughest cities in the world are being brought to the United States of America and emptied out into our country.
Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security just granting new authorities to the Drug Enforcement Administration, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the U.S. Marshals Service to assist with immigration enforcement.
Let's go back, because we want to make sure that we get a clarification on the organizations and the programs, the departments that are absolutely in cohesiveness at this point in combating and at least getting the criminals and the illegal criminals, migrants out of the country. So I just want to clarify and bring something to the forefront, because though I'm not an avid news watcher, especially I've definitely delved into it more, becoming a content creator, but it's such a propaganda. It's used as a tool of such propaganda that I've had to, like, I don't believe it. So why waste the time and the energy in really kind of investing and listening to a lot of it, right? But the part that gets me is that depending on what news sources you watch, they are really pushing this agenda. They even have illegal immigrants on TV crying, particularly women. Okay, they have a few men that I've seen, but it's usually the women, because we're so much more emotional, at least we should be, than men. And they are crying on camera, giving their plight, pleas, and saying, you know what, we don't feel that we should be deported. We are, we're hardworking citizens. We're not here to commit crimes, this and that and the other, but yet and still we are in fear. Okay. Now they're talking about the streets of Chicago being a ghost town, and we're going to see a clip of actual activity in Chicago with ICE, as well as a good view of the streets, of how barren they look, because they are perpetuating and pushing this fear factor by saying that Trump is, and his administration and Tom Hogan and everybody else that is making the decisions as far as getting these people off of the soil. They're saying that they're being cruel, they're being unjust, that they're not being fair, they're targeting everyone. They are not. Okay. Let me just make that clear. They have repeated between Tom Hogan and President Trump himself. Anytime they speak on the topic, they usually make the very clear statement that we want the dangerous people, we want the criminals, we want the convicts, we want the ones that are here causing all of the crimes. Okay, our judicial system is not equipped to handle millions of other people that are undocumented, that pose a threat to this country every single solitary day, that we give resources to, that we have housed, that we have fed, that we have given them opportunities to start businesses. Okay, these are just a few of the benefits that they have gotten, that we have people fighting for this country as a career and as a lifetime commitment don't get and have not gotten the consideration of. So, not to belabor the point, you got the U.S. Justice Department, the DEA, okay, you got the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. You got the Department of Justice, the DOJ, and Homeland Security. Okay, all of these organizations and bureaus are working together and having to, on a federal level. Okay, so let me just point this out too. You've got a lot of the sanctuary cities that their political heads are pushing back, and they are impeding or attempting to impede or at least give pushback on why they should and plan on protecting and aiding those same illegal immigrants when they pose a threat to democracy, to the safety of many, and expendable resources that should be available to the people of this country first and foremost. Particularly, I believe those that serve the country should be top tier, first priority at all times. You can't tell me that there's no agenda or that there's no plan of some sort on a grand scale when you are willing as an administration to run, in my opinion, the country into the dirt. There has to be some type of a benefit in it for them, whether it's long term or short term, but it has been very apparent and very clear that this is not in the best interests of us, the citizens of this country. Phoenix Rising says illegal immigrants could receive all resources designated for the citizens. Meanwhile, when it comes to citizens, they had to follow policies and still had to wait or be rejected. Absolutely falls in line with just what, the whole point of why is it that you have these political figures in these sanctuary cities that feel like it is their duty to go to bat for illegal immigrants when they have posed no real value, but more of a threat. And again, I'm speaking on the illegal ones that have not and will not go through due process to legally be in this country. Let's continue.
As his executive orders have declared, schools, hospitals, and churches are no longer off limits, with mixed messages coming from community leaders.
Okay, so I probably cut it off too soon, but I was just getting ready to say that we have an abundance of people that are screaming from the mountaintops and stating that they believe that they should have a warrant. ICE should have a warrant, and they will not be that ICE nor the other federal government agencies will be allowed to come into those asylum buildings, such as the schools, or where it has been granted as or viewed as asylum seeking venues, like schools, churches, hospitals, right? So let's let her, but I just wanted to make that clarification as well.
Whether it's a school, a church, a hospital, they need a warrant. And if they don't have it, they don't get in.
Supporters of President Trump's mass deportation plan celebrating the operations already being carried out.
He wants to rid our cities and our country of people who are members of the drug cartels, sex traffickers, gang members, criminals who have been wreaking havoc in cities like mine.
Her city of New York, as well as Boston, Philadelphia, Denver, Miami, and Washington, D.C., all sanctuary cities, among the cities targeted first, with nearly 500 arrests made, as some question the strategy.
Why is it not Tennessee? Why not Georgia? Why not Florida? Those where a large population of undocumented immigrants are, easy to find in these plants. So it's more of a political agenda than it is really that about sort of following out and carrying the law.
As these operations unfold in cities, the southern border itself is preparing for a flood of U.S. troops. 1,500 already ordered there, another 10,000 told to plan for the same. A mission involving blocking entry to migrants on the grounds they pass through countries where communicable diseases are present. In Washington.
And that's another thing too, is that we have all of these issues when it comes to, like she said, communicable diseases, not just talking about the absorption and the wasting of resources. And I'm going to say I've been kind of irritated because while you see them boarding some of the same charter buses, planes, you know, the Greyhounds, however they've been transported back and forth, they came here, we provided them, people were made generational wealthy, okay, wealthy but through generations by lending their services and their businesses and getting paid and compensated by the federal government. And now, guess what? They're getting shipped back out. So what a waste, in my opinion, when you can't have bipartisan agreements on any level where the people and the country as a whole, as a unit, are being put first. Why is it that the citizens are always last? That is super irritating to me. A handful are made rich and benefit at the peril of the American citizens of this country. These things should not be happening in 2025, in my opinion. And now Trump has been made the villain because he is trying to salvage whatever freedoms, whatever security we have at this point, which has been largely jeopardized when you are speaking on people, the borders being open and people coming across the borders willy-nilly for the past 4 years. That's a long time, y'all. So if you multiply 365 times 4, that's 1,460 days. So 1,460 days, you've had so many coming across the borders through ports of entry or otherwise that it has amounted into the millions, and we don't have an accurate number because we don't know who's here. We don't know who's here legally and who's here illegally. And now that there is a search and a mission to separate the legal from the illegals, and then the convicts that are illegal from the legal ones, now it's a problem. Now it's unjust. When you have them committing crimes, who you think they're committing these crimes against? It's typically not their own people. Okay? That's right, Miss Ellie, because most of us are poor and the elites don't care. Absolutely. Well, I tell you, if we ever wake up and we ever get past the programming of division, it's going to be game over. Let's go on to the next clip.
Promises kept, with President Trump taking immediate action on his top campaign focus, fighting illegal immigration. From coast to coast, ICE agents going city to city, sometimes door to door, tracking down the nearly 1.5 million undocumented set for deportation. And as ICE closes in on migrants, once vibrant Chicago neighborhoods are now turning into ghost towns. And tonight we are taking you to a neighborhood that has gone silent.
Like I said from day one, no one's off the table.
The Trump administration setting out to execute what it has promised.
We arrested 1,300 people. Over 1,000 of them were criminals.
Immigration and customs enforcement operations reportedly underway in jurisdictions all across the nation. Federal agents have been spotted in many sanctuary cities carrying out these operations.
I hope the sanctuary cities come around.
The usually bustling and vibrant streets of this Hispanic neighborhood in Chicago sit relatively empty because of the concerns over ICE.
Look at those streets. This is in Chicago. Okay. That didn't look like that 2 months ago, 3 months ago, a year ago. Now all of a sudden they done went in hiding. What you hiding for? You have legal immigrants that come over, they pay taxes, they go through the whatever the legal process is to be in this country legally and to remain here without the threat of being deported, arrested, breaking laws, etc. Now, where is everybody? Where is everybody? Y'all were bold, brave, and big and bad a couple months ago. You got you vendors, tables in the streets. You're riding on scooters, snatching people's phones, stealing stuff from people. And I'm not saying everybody. I'm speaking of the ones that are here to commit crimes, that were exiled from their countries, because many of the countries that a lot of these criminals have come from won't accept them back. Now, I did see where Colombia, I don't know what happened. I don't know what the red tape looked like with Trump and the leader of Colombia, but Colombia is definitely acquiesced, and they are playing ball. So they are actually willing and prepared and have publicly announced that they will be taking back their people that have come to this country that are going to be deported, including their criminals, their convicted ones, or otherwise. So if you their people and that's where you came from, you are going back. If you're from Colombia, let's go.
Because of the concerns over ICE.
Welcome to Mesquite Restaurant, sir.
This little taqueria, like most in the Pilsen neighborhood, is owned and operated by immigrants. The Cruz family, who in 1994 made the long journey from Mexico City to Chicago to grow their little taco stand into a thriving restaurant.
We got tacos, we got breakfast, chilaquiles.
This American dream is one thousands of migrants are striving for when they cross the southern border.
Think about how those people, that family felt or feels when they have been seeing all of the illegals come across the border, being catered to, being made comfortable in this country, being provided something for nothing. They never even got work permits, not on a federal scale. So what were all of these resources that have been given out to all of these illegal migrants? What did this country get in return to warrant it to be reciprocated, to balance out? And then you have this family that started with a taco stand that now has a flourishing family business, which takes time to develop, takes sacrifice, takes work, hard work. How do you think that they feel watching people that look like them come across the border, don't have no respect for any of the laws in this country, don't have no love for the people that are here, All they care about is what can we get, send back to our families, and position ourselves to be in a different place than we were in our country.
But the drastic shutdown of illegal immigration is a campaign promise the majority of American voters are expecting Donald Trump to make good on.
Honestly, when he come back again, I was like, man, I feel scared.
President Trump, border czar Tom Homan, and the highest-ranking members of Immigration and Customs Enforcement say they're only targeting violent criminals during these initial deportations.
They keep saying that. And that the 500 that they have apprehended in the past couple of days has reflected just that. So respectfully, why is he scared? If he's following the laws and he's here legally and has been here legally and they have family here, then why is he concerned about his flight or plight in where him and his family's trajectory will go during all of this reformation of the laws that were actually, most of them were in place some years ago, but now they're just back to being enforced again. So that's the thing I'm saying, is like a lot of these news outlets are pushing this narrative as to say, you know what, all of y'all should be scared. If you look like you don't belong here, or you look like you're from another geographical location, then be afraid, be very afraid. When the Trump administration and everyone involved keeps saying it over and over and over again, that guess what? We are focusing on the disruptors. We are focusing on the criminals. We are focusing on those that are coming over here and wreaking havoc and have nothing good to add to this country and have no good intentions for this country. Why isn't there a separation is my question. Why isn't there a separation?
News Nation has seen what these operations look like. I rode along and conducted early morning raids with ICE agents when they arrested men from Iraq and Belize, convicted criminals who spent prison time for robbery and gun charges.
I'm not a criminal. I'm a good guy. I pay my taxes. I do everything right. You know what's going to happen to me? They're going to grab me too. You know, they're not going to check right now.
We've seen examples of resistance throughout Hispanic neighborhoods, including these signs instructing immigrant men and women to push back and block federal agents from entering their homes.
Okay, so this sign says ICE and Homeland Security cannot enter without a warrant signed by a judge. Now, I don't know if this looks like a church door. I'm not 100% sure. But again, now, the only other thing that I can think of, because he keeps reiterating that he is in fear or that he's scared that he is going to be affected by this deportation sweep that's going on currently, is if you are harboring somebody that is here illegally. If you are, so if you're here legally and you've gone through the proper channels, but some of your people done came over here that you know they're in your home, they're in your business, you're affiliated with them, you're helping them in whatever way, to the point where y'all are family, that's your people, then you should be in fear, because they've made it very clear that if you are harboring criminals or convicts, it is going to affect those that they are around. Without a shadow of a doubt, you are guilty by association. Let's go.
But the reality is, new polling shows 65% of Americans strongly support deporting immigrants convicted of violent crimes. That includes Horacio Aguilera, an Iraq War veteran and Mexican-American police officer. He voted for Trump and wants mass deportations of criminals to carry on as quickly as possible.
A lot of Hispanic Americans, there was also a rise that voted for Trump. I think 9 out of 10 people that are living here in America, Chicago, Illinois, are going to agree that if you're an illegal resident and you are arrested for committing a crime, prosecuted for committing a crime, and you are an illegal resident, you are subject to deportation.
The so-called mass deportations have not been carried out in Chicago like people once believed. But that hasn't stopped local and state leaders from sounding the alarm and strengthening local codes which reinforce the city's sanctuary status.
We should stand up for them. That is the right thing to do. But he's trying to tear things down.
Governor, what?
How, Sway? How? Maybe I'm in the dark about something, but how has Chicago benefited from enabling, supporting, and providing for illegal migrants or illegal immigrants coming into the state or the city, the state of Illinois, city of Chicago, how has that benefited you all? Has it helped your judicial system? Has it helped the taxes? Has it helped the property taxes? How has the housing been affected? Who has it benefited? Maybe that's the more appropriate question. Is what is he tearing down? Your agenda, whatever you're connected with, whatever the plan is for a select few? Because if you ask 65% of the American people, they're saying that it's time for those illegal immigrants to go. We don't care where they go. We don't care where they end up, as long as they don't stay here taking food out of the mouths of the people that built and sustained this country.
What's your response to people who might say that Democrats are the one sowing chaos, confusion, and fear-mongering when talking about mass deportations that haven't even happened in Chicago?
What are you talking about? They are literally threatening people all across the country. How can you say that we're overreacting somehow? We're not.
We need receipts. We need receipts, because from the footage that I've seen, they're going in. By the time ICE apprehends somebody, they know exactly who they are. They aren't threatening to do anything. They are taking action. Men of very few words. You don't hear those ICE agents doing a whole lot of chit-chatting. So who are the people that you're speaking of? And don't throw subs out. Let's be specific about it. Who are you speaking on? You need to validate that statement, especially if you are a man that is of political status, instead of just throwing it out there because you don't like it or because it interferes with your personal journey and plan. Don't get me started.
The Trump administration is vowing to investigate and prosecute local and state officials who stand in the way of what the federal government is doing. Natasha?
Yeah, Alex, with that tonight, thank you.
What other country have you ever heard of the citizens or the state heads of a state going against the federal government, against the best interests of the American people? What other country has to be convinced that this is not good collectively for anybody? Unless there's some behind the scenes bullshit going on, which that to me is the only thing that makes sense and rings true. The only thing that makes sense and rings true is that you are personally threatened, or your bottom line is personally threatened in some way, fashion, or form, to the point where you can throw out statements on the airwaves such as that in a forum and not show any receipts, not justify it, not give any examples, none of that. But that's what a lot of the politicians do, in my opinion. So anyway, we're going to move on to the next one. We're going to keep this thing going.
Good morning, everyone.
It's a frigid 5 degrees in the pre-dawn hours just outside of Boston, where this team of elite ICE officers is briefing on their targets for the day.
We're going to be targeting some extremely violent offenders today.
Within moments, the officers are on the move.
So this is in Boston, okay? There are all of the sanctuary cities, particularly the major ones, are being highlighted in the news outlets. But this is a nationwide effort, and this is a nationwide operation. So if you are in a sanctuary city, there are ICE agents in that sanctuary city searching, looking and investigating and picking out the criminals that pose a direct threat, whether it's through convictions, through where they came from, and they've had convictions in their homeland before they got here, whether they've been caught or not. Once their presence has been identified, once it's been located, they coming to get you. That's what they want you to know. Now, if that invokes fear and you're a law-abiding citizen and you've gone through the proper channels to be here, to where all your documentation is in a row and everything is you can pull it out and show it at a moment's notice, then what are you concerned about? I think there should be dancing in the streets. I don't think they should be ghostly. I don't think they should be bare. I think the citizens should be taking back their geographical environments through location and behavior. And that's my personal opinion. But again, I just wanted to say this is across the board, but this particular video clip is focusing on Boston. But look at the streets in Boston. Even though it may be late at night or very in the wee early hours in the morning, it's still nobody on the streets. This is not the picture that was depicted in any sanctuary city that was put on the news outlets even as soon as a couple of months ago.
With eyes on their first target.
Looks like we got movement, target vehicle coming out.
They quickly take him into custody. He's an MS-13 gang member wanted in El Salvador for aggravated murder.
So he made it over here, but he's wanted in El Salvador. Ain't no telling how he's been aided and abetted over here through the resources of this country. I just wanted to note that. Words matter.
And he has an Interpol red notice out for his arrest.
We are targeting very violent threats to our community.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
So, you feel me? Yo, bite.
17. Look at what he says. Biden forever, bro.
Forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Señor, ¿cómo se llama?
And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer.
So what she basically just said is that he was arrested, but he was released because he was in a sanctuary city. And I know for sure that in New York, up until the inauguration of Trump or the swearing in of Trump, that's what they were doing. The courthouse was a revolving door. And we're talking about people committing crimes that would give you like illegal gun possession, right? In New York, you can't have a gun legally. And they would go in, get processed, and go right back out. When typically, I don't know about New York, but I know in a lot of states, if you're caught with an illegal gun, that's an automatic minimum 5-year stint. But they don't get the same consideration. So what she's saying is that now that they have federal jurisdiction and that they're in a federal capacity, they don't have to go through the states. They don't have to work with the states, and they don't have to depend on their cooperation because they have conjoined with other bureaus to get the job done. And so this should be more effective, and it should be swift, because you're getting more cooperation. It's hard when you're getting resistance. It's hard to accomplish a goal when you got somebody giving you resistance the whole way. So yeah, you put in all of these man hours, spend all this taxpayers' money, spend all that time trying to apprehend somebody just for them to go through the courthouse and to come back out again.
That person was released back into the community, and when we went to go find him, he's with somebody else who was previously removed from the United States. So he's going to go today too.
And that is exactly what Border Czar Tom Homan has warned would happen.
When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that are in the United States illegally. They may not be a criminal priority, but we're not walking away from them.
ICE Boston says they will continue to go into sanctuary jurisdictions and do their job.
Today was a good day.
So that was Boston. Now, remember when they had, it was in Colorado, they had the Tres de Aragua gang going through a particular apartment complex and bamming down doors, knocking down doors with guns, semis, automatic machine guns, displacing people, telling them to get out of their homes or their apartments, basically terrorizing the apartment complex, the neighborhood. They would be standing outside, military style, out in the open with firearms. Nothing. They even denied, the politicians even went as far as to deny that was a real thing and that it was not staged. Okay. They said this is a staged event. It is no threat. This is nothing to be alarmed about. And it did not happen the way that the media portrayed that it happened. Well, we're getting ready to figure out that was untrue, and we're going to see if they double down on it.
Party at a makeshift nightclub around 5 o'clock this morning, arresting nearly 50 people. Drugs, weapons, and cash were also seized. Your reporter Andrew Hodmer joins us live now with new details.
Yeah, guys, 49 people were detained in that early action. It was a DEA raid, and ICE was a part of it. 41 of those 49 were found by ICE to be in the country illegally, but we aren't sure how many of the 41 undocumented or 49 individuals that were detained have ties to the Tren de Aragua gang and just how deep those ties go. Something immigration advocates say is a little bit of a concern, especially as these raids become more numerous across the country.
The Drug Enforcement Administration's Rocky Mountain Field Division taking almost 50 people into custody after a raid early Sunday morning.
DEA has been working on TDA here in the Denver metro area since this past summer. So this has been a priority for us for a number of months, and we've been tracking these guys for that entire time.
Amid the 49 taken into custody, 41 were determined by ICE to be in the country illegally. But the DEA says some were affiliated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua.
The people at the club last night was a mix of people, and so their status is still being determined.
As of Sunday night, those 41 individuals are in ICE custody, which concerns Colorado immigration advocate Raquel Lane Arellano.
When people go into ICE custody, they don't get access to due process in the same way that they do in the criminal justice system.
She tells CBS Colorado that it isn't advocacy for the criminal element picked up, but rather those with clean records that now may face deportations and the downstream issues that might arise because of it.
They are not going to call the police if they think the police is going to report them to ICE.
As immigration raids and stops are recurring across the country as President Trump begins his second week of his second administration.
It just puts the entire immigrant community under the scrutiny. And unfortunately, it paves the way for policies that are actually really dangerous.
Now, we are going to figure out in the coming days the degrees to the ties to the TDA gang that some of these individuals have. But these raids are becoming more regular. And the thing that Lane Arellano tells us is concerning is that combination of DEA and ICE that were a part of the enforcement here.
Why is that a concern? If they are working cohesively for the same goal to achieve the same outcome, and that is to rid our neighborhoods of dangerous foreign gang activity, of those that we can't really identify a majority of them. As he stated, 49 out of 50 were illegal. And 49 out of 50 were considered to be dangerous, whether they were gang affiliated, whether they were illegal and gang affiliated, or otherwise. But they had a whole party with 50 people. And the DEA got the cooperation and some assistance with ICE where they're working together. So why wouldn't they? And why is that a problem? I don't know. I'm just asking. So we got one more video. I'm not going to make this a long live, y'all. I just wanted to, I know this is a hot topic. It is forever evolving. It's evolving at a fast rate. It is something that I think a majority of the Americans, at least a majority of the Americans, have really been hoping for and waiting to see if there can be a reversal upon what a lot of us have felt has been an invasion of this country. I know I have, and that's my personal opinion. But let's go ahead, and this is speaking on the cartel.
A National Border Patrol Council Vice President Artel Cueto has been watching the action of what's going on with a sweep through, including sanctuary cities, to round up criminal illegal aliens. Art, we've got news coming in. Bill Millusion at Fox is reporting that Border Patrol agents were shot at and fired upon from across the border by suspected cartel gunmen as they tried to bring a group of illegal migrants across the border. So our people are getting shot at right now.
Unfortunately, that is true. There were reports. They're still investigating. Of course, there's still something going on to try to find out, where the shots came from, who it was. But yeah, definitely agents were on the ground. They were waiting for a group to come across. Shots were fired in their direction. They had other agencies immediately surrounded the area, got to that area. They haven't seen it. No one was hurt. No one's been shot at. But this is just the dangers that we're going to continue to see, that we've been seeing, frankly. But we're going to continue to see them even more so. The cartels control the southern border for now. And they're going to continue to do anything they can to stronghold everything in that area. But as we've seen in the last several days, we have an administration that now backs up the agents, backs up law enforcement, and is moving forward to try to make sure that we have a better country.
That is the key, is there is a backup, there is reinforcement, and there are bureaus and organizations that are working together with the same goal in mind, and that is to lessen the threat of the people that are coming into this country with ill intentions. Period, point blank. And anybody that disagrees with that, I'm questioning your intent. I am not saying that I am anti-immigration. I am pro-immigration. I believe that me and mostly everyone, if not everyone, that I know or come in contact with is mixed with something that is not born or native of the American soil. However, there is a due process and there are laws. They're in place for a reason. And if they are circumvented, this is the type of outcome that we can expect. Chaos, confusion, crime, criminality. These things we have to acknowledge and tell the truth about. We're not anti-immigration through the proper channels, but we are at least I am, illegal immigration.
Unfortunately, that incident did happen, but thankfully, no agents were hurt.
Okay, so we know that we saw Tom Homan speaking to ABC's Martha Raddatz. Just basically, what price do you put on all the young women who were murdered and killed and raped? ICE made thousands of arrests nationwide. It went off without much opposition. New York City, they're talking about ICE arrests tomorrow here in New York City. We're seeing it in sanctuary cities, Chicago, Denver, also, by the way, LA, and also Houston. Why is the media, why do you think they're pushing back on ICE rounding up dozens of vicious criminals like the Trento Aragua gang? They rounded them up in Aurora. Talk to us about who these criminals are and what they do.
Look, unfortunately, Liz, you're going to have these individuals in the media that they want ratings, they want, push their agenda, and, they got friends in politics that want to push their particular agenda as well. But these are bad people. I don't understand how you would be a leader in any country, any city, any town, any, state, and you would want criminals to stay and remain in your country and state. I mean,
that is insane to me. There is no logic in that. I'm with you on that. Sir, we are on the same page with that. I see the passion in him making that statement. I equal that on so many different levels. How is it that if anything is a threat to your survival, to your safety, to your peace, to your ability to be able to protect your family and thrive in that environment, How, Sway? Phoenix says they keep calling illegal immigrants innocent people. How, Sway? My question exactly, Phoenix. My question.
It baffles me that these people have that type of agenda. All I can say, and I've been saying it for years, their hatred towards President Trump is greater than their love for Americans. That's the only reason they do things like this. These are very bad individuals that came into the United States. All they care about is to expand their criminal enterprises. That's what they've been doing. They've found the loopholes to come across, say, asylum and then get released. And now they're embedded throughout our society. And fortunately, people like President Trump and individuals like Tom Homan and the many, many men and women out there putting their lives on the line each and every day, trying to get home to their families, are also out there making sure that these criminals are detained, put behind bars, and deported back to their country.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's in a nutshell. There's nothing else to really speak on when it comes to why is there such an assertion and such a fervor to bring these people and get them out of circulation of the streets, of being free, of moving in a free fashion, when you are jeopardizing the safety of everyone around you. I don't know about anybody else, but in the area that I live in, and I haven't just seen it in my area, but you don't see children playing outside. You don't see them riding bikes. Even though there has been a decrease in that over the years due to social media and technology and all of that, you still see them, even if they're out playing with their pets, walking dogs, running up and down the street, playing kickball. You can't afford it, and you don't have the safety sound mind to trust that whole thing, that whole scenario, when every time you turn on the news, there's another crime being committed. There's another mother and father that either don't know where their daughter or son is, or if they do find them, they're not in good shape, or they're not alive. Come on now. I mean, no way, shape, or form am I saying that we don't have our own problems on this turf to deal with and contend with on a day-to-day basis. We absolutely do. But why compound it by opening the borders? And how is it that people over in this country are held accountable, but if you come over here illegally, you're immune to accountability? If that ain't backwards, I don't know what is. I do want to show, I do have a couple of little small additional clips that I decided I want to go ahead and show. And one of them is actually showing migrants running from cops. And I just wanted to show it. So I'm going to show it.
Migrants running right past officers. Take a look. A group of 7 men emerged from the brush in Texas and tried to outrun agents. This video shows 4 of the men getting captured by Border Patrol. More than 200 migrants surrendered to agents near the same location on Monday.
I'm putting it on mute just in case the music is copyrighted. But basically there's enforcement for the last 4 years. We had Biden go toe to toe with the governor of Texas and Biden wanted to use the federal government to sue the state of Texas for putting up barbed wire as an extra layer of protection to prevent people from coming through the border illegally, encouraging them to go through the proper channels, through the ports of entry that were designated and assigned. And Biden said, no, you are bucking our agenda, and we want to sue the state of Texas. He provided, the governor, Abbott, provided his own barbed wire. He provided his own military, or, the organizations for the people to install it, to monitor the ports of entry, to monitor the border in Texas. He didn't ask the federal government for no assistance initially. And when Biden made his position clear that he was in no way, shape, or form going to help him, but if he continued down the course of protecting the borders and enforcing the laws that were put in place, that he was threatening to sue the state of Texas. Now you're looking at all this barbed wire, you're looking at all these people here, whether they're coming or going. 2 months. Y'all knew that Trump was going to be sworn into office. Why did you wait until after the word came down and now you in this position? You got babies with you. If we Americans were to go into another country and they say, why are you here? And we say, because it's bad in America. It's just dangerous. It's, yada, 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 yada. We can't thrive. We can't work. It's everybody, is controlled. It's a mess. Everybody's poor, this and that and the other. You know what they're going to say? What that got to do with us? Go back and figure that thing out. That's your native land. That's your homeland. That has nothing to do with us here. Why is it that we should not have the same approach, the same mindset, and offer the same exact solution that you would go into another country at the bare minimum and get? Okay?
Border Patrol agents to cut the razor wire, saying it impeded agents' ability.
Okay, see, I didn't even look at it this far. This is just what I was saying. Let's go.
Says
back.
the state is in.
To deny illegal entry into our country, to help deal with the consequences of it, to make your state more secure.
The ruling says the state is entitled to a preliminary injunction because it is seeking only to safeguard its own property, not regulate Border Patrol.
This mission that you're on right now is on your homeland. A mission on your homeland to preserve the safety and security of your very own state.
Back in January, the Biden administration asked the Supreme Court to allow Border Patrol agents to cut the razor wire, saying it impeded agents' ability to get to migrants as they crossed the river. Governor Abbott says in a social media post, President Biden was wrong to cut the wire.
Why would he do that? Why would he authorize that when all Governor Abbott was doing was enforcing the laws that were in place? And like he said, his whole idea and plan was to protect their land. And that means from foreigners. That means from people that are unauthorized to come across. You don't know who they are. You don't know their background. You don't know their intention. You don't know their plan. You don't know what they have to offer, if anything, to this country. Why he didn't want Texas to be used in that way. He has no control over the other sanctuary cities, but he does have some say-so as to how they get through the state of Texas. And Biden had a problem with that. Ain't that something?
Ahí va. Wow, ya pusieron la escalera. Ándale, Andrés, córrele.
No, corran. Esto no es de chanclas.
Con las manos bien calientes.
See, if there was some barbed wire around that wouldn't be happening. Okay? Just wanted to make that little note. $5 ladder on $1 billion wall. Ain't that about something?
No vas a subir a la
¿Me agarran el cuello? Ah, no, más o menos. Aquí no va a amarrar. Mira, ahí le está hablando al pollero en el celular este. Le está hablando para ver si en él mira. Por ver. Uy, qué alto.
Este flaquito es el que va a correr ahorita, ¿no? Ese es el que lo va a torear, mira. Fíjate.
Eso. Ándale, córrele. Corre bien recio, mira. Luego la torre, ma. Oh, ya lo tumbaron. Venga, su madre. Luego, aquí las torres. Pero van a agarrar a uno. Mira, otro.
Wow. I don't know, y'all. It seems to be the determination is all I kept thinking of. It's like these people are determined. I'm not saying that where they're coming from don't have horrible conditions, because the ingenuity and the determination, the risk, the sacrifice, if you look at it, they didn't have a family with them. A lot of times they leave their families behind. But my question would then be, if conditions are so unbearable in your native country, then why didn't you bring your whole family? And I just kept watching footage after footage after footage of military age men in big groups and large groups coming across the border, and not as many families, not as many units with women and children. So we're going to close off with this. I know I mentioned illegals being released by sanctuary cities and the revolving door. As soon as you go in, you come out, which really doesn't thwart them or deter them from committing more crimes, because there really is no consequence. There's, they're not held accountable for anything. But let's just close off with this video, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Peace and blessings to the show.
Now this, Fox was able to get exclusive access to ICE's elite team in the sanctuary city of Boston. Bill Maloogian is there. Bill, you saw the first images of Trump's mass deportation efforts. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Brian, good morning to you. We certainly did. In the early days of this Trump administration, ICE officials tell us they're taking what they call a worst first approach, meaning they are targeting the worst of the worst criminal alien offenders first. And we were given exclusive access to ICE's elite team right here in Boston as they went out into sanctuary jurisdictions and enforced immigration law.
Good morning, everyone.
It's a frigid 5 degrees in the pre-dawn hours just outside of Boston, where this team of elite ICE officers is briefing on their targets for the day.
We're going to be targeting some extremely violent offenders today.
Within moments, the officers are on the move, with eyes on their first target.
Looks like we got movement, target vehicle coming out.
They quickly take him into custody. He's an MS-13 gang member wanted in El Salvador for aggravated murder. And he has an Interpol red notice out for his arrest.
We are targeting very violent threats to our community.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil, who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction. And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer. That person was released back into the community, and when we went to go find him, he's with somebody else who was previously removed from the United States.
Okay, so we actually saw that one earlier, but definitely I wanted to let that play once I realized it was kind of a repeat. But I ended it right at the point where she said that one of the people that you saw apprehended was actually apprehended earlier and then released, but then got picked up again because they were around somebody else that they were looking for. Okay, so this is when they say you're guilty by association or by affiliation. If you're around somebody that is here illegally, especially if they're considered dangerous or they've been convicted or they've done criminal acts, on this soil or from wherever they're from, and then they brought that behavior here, all of you are going to be lumped into the same group, and chances of being deported for all of you are very likely, right? So with that being said, I appreciate everybody for coming through. Thank you, Phoenix. I appreciate you, baby. So yes, I just wanted to come through again and just say, this is an ongoing thing, an ongoing process, and we're going to get it together. I'm just hoping, I know I might be thinking very far down the line, but I'm really hoping that, it doesn't get reversed with the next administration, because it seems like this is going to take some time. It is going to be a laborious thing. It's complicated. You got to remember, it's been at least a 4-year stretch this time around, and it's been on a level and with a magnitude that has been really unprecedented, especially with the type of people that they brought in, the resources, the amount of just exorbitant resources that the citizens get no privy to, but you can give it to people that we don't know who they are, where they came from, why they're here, if they're here legally, and you didn't even really act like you cared, right? So I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. I appreciate you. Much love. Peace to the chat. Peace to the chat. And we're going to go ahead and get on up out of here. Have a great one, y'all. Peace.